On this edition of Southern Newsweek, at least 40,000 people attend this year's AMP show in Wanaka. A CT scanner becomes available to help treat injured wildlife. And demolition rubble is found dumped near Balclutha. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. A nationwide return to COVID alert level 1 has helped inject more than $10 million into the Upper Clutha economy via the local AMP show. Organisers say at least 45,000 people attended the event, with entries up across all sections of the show.
There was much moo about something at Wanaka's AMP show. Organisers say more than 40,000 people attended the two-day show, but the lead-up to the event was far from a walk in the park.
It's very rewarding. A lot of stress leading up to it this year, of course, with COVID, but loving every minute of it.
The number of trade exhibitors at the showgrounds this year was up on previous years, with 520 people exhibiting their wares. New Zealand Police were represented amongst the exhibitors, with their large tractor attracting all comers.
Oh, absolutely not. Anyone who wants to give it a go is welcome.
She says the official police vehicle is an obvious drawcard.
Big, colourful, got big wheels.
And this visitor to the show is pretty impressed with this asset to rural policing.
Awesome machine.
There you go.
I've seen it around, but next time I'll wave them down and see if I can go for a ride.
Yeah.
Horse entries were on par with last year, with 260 horses participating, and organisers say there were 64 dog trialists taking part. And then there was the annual Jack Russell race, which was taken out by Harry for the second year running, as fast as his little legs would carry him. Event organiser Jane Stalker says the feedback over the past 2 days has been fantastic, with the wearable arts events drawing colourful creations and appreciative crowds. In Wanaka, the South Today.
A new collaboration will grant greater access to a vital diagnostic tool for Dunedin's sick and injured native animals. The agreement between Ag Research and the Dunedin Wildlife Hospital will give the hospital use of a specialised CT scanner free of charge.
While we are all scanning QR codes, the Dunedin Wildlife Hospital needs to scan native animals. And they've been given extra help by Ag Research, who has given the hospital 5 free CT scans at its Invermay campus. Wildlife Hospital Trust Manager Jordana White says the scanner will make the work the hospital does so much easier.
It's not something that happens every day, but it does arise a few times a year.
The scanner is very important for species where little is known about their anatomy. White says they've been working with another local provider for CT scans, which charge the hospital about $500 a scan at quite a charitable discount.
It won't take us long to get there. It's completely set up for scanning animals, which the current facility we use is not. It's meant for people. So I think that it will be a really, really nice fit for us. It will make things so much easier.
Ag Research Chief Executive Sue Bidrose says the scanner has a bit of spare capacity, and they were aware of the extraordinary work the Wildlife Hospital does with New Zealand's taonga species.
And so it was a really good opportunity for a partnership, us as part of that wider Dunedin community, and then with the Wildlife Hospital to meet some of their needs.
This scanner now means they don't have to wait to use one after hours, which means less stress on staff and patients. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Dunedin man is questioning the mentality of the person who shot one of his much-loved Maine Coon cats. Andrew Long says Cheezel the cat survived the shooting for a few days, but succumbed to its injuries this week.
Words fail McAndrew Bay resident Andrew Long after one of his family's much-loved Maine Coon cats was recently shot. Long says the family knew something was wrong when 2-year-old Cheezel came home hours late for dinner.
So he finally showed up between 8:30 and 9, looking pretty ill. So we brought him in, and he immediately went to lay down kind of his favourite place, which is in the other room. And we just thought he'd been sick or scared, and we just kind of, looked after him a bit. And then it was our son who actually took a closer look with his phone and torch and noticed that there was a wound on his abdomen. And again, we thought maybe we didn't know what it was until we took him to the vet the next day, and the vet said he's been shot.
Long says Cheezel was predominantly his wife's cat and had replaced another Maine Coon who'd passed away a couple of years earlier. He says Cheezel survived for a few days but wasn't looking good, despite their vet and the family's best care and attention.
And he proceeded to get worse the next day, so we took him back to the vet. He had x-rays and surgery. The x-rays couldn't find any pellets, so it was assumed that they were plastic ones rather than metal. And they couldn't tell whether they were still embedded inside Cheezel or not. And they also found a second wound on the other side of the abdomen, so 2 shots, one on each side of his stomach. And then they sort of cut him open, have a look around, and so we've got the wounds look much more brutal in the end. And he stayed overnight with the vet, and then we got him back on Saturday morning. Very, very, not moving very much, not looking very happy, but we had a regime of anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, and we had to syringe feed him. So basically he was not interested in eating. So we did all this. We really wanted him to get better. And then Sunday he just got worse. Made an appointment with the vet, and before we could get him to the vet he died. He crawled off and died himself. Kind of howling in pain actually. So it was a very painful, horrible last 4 days for kind of one of the sweetest, most gentle, playful cats I've ever seen.
He says Otago Peninsula policeman Aaron Smith has been very helpful and is keen to hear any information the public might have.
Yeah, so he gave us a strategy, like this is the approach that you can take. We've seen it before. He went and looked at Cheezel, took some photos of the wound and so on, and he was horrified. He loves animals by the looks of it, and he's going to come and visit us again sometime soon and work out what happens next.
He has no idea who shot their furry family member and has a plea for that person.
Well, I hope that you are able to reflect on what you've done in this case and the kind of the pain and the hurt that you've caused my family and potentially other families when you might have killed their pets. Also, reflect on what you've done and just stop. Or if you can't stop, get help so you can stop. Something else you might want to do is if you do reflect on what you've done, you can come and see me. You can own up to it. We can have a conversation and go from there.
He says the family buried Cheezel and grieved together. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Balclutha resident is shocked to find demolition rubble has been dumped in the Clutha River this week. Suzanne Schofield believes she knows which buildings the large broken blocks are from and is concerned about river pollution.
Breeze blocks, large chunks of concrete, tin and more has been dumped in the Clutha River.
On Wednesday morning I came to look and this is what I found. It's as far as I can tell, without actually doing forensic stuff, it's the wall rubble from the old Hammer Hardware building, and it's just being pushed into the river, presumably in the aim of trying to provide some erosion protection to the bank, which is eroding quite badly here. But this it's rubbish. We don't know what's in it. We don't know what's going to leach into the river, and it's just not appropriate.
Suzanne Schofield's husband spotted a truck dumping fill on the riverbank behind the Balclutha aerodrome and let her know. She says given the sensitive nature of rivers, particularly in Te Ao Māori, she believes whoever has dumped this material isn't thinking of the greater good.
It's all just going to wash down the river on the riverbed and become pollutants and affect the birds that roost around here, the fish in the river. We get New Zealand sea lions up here occasionally. They're all going to be affected potentially by what's here.
She's shocked with what's been dumped in their beautiful river and is concerned about the environmental impact, particularly on some of the bird species which are familiar sights around the Clutha.
Around the area here we get occasional dotterels, we see New Zealand pipits. There's quite a large number of endangered birds that do hang around here, which is an urban environment and makes it really quite special.
Schofield says it's a beautiful spot, but the fresh deposits of plasterwork, metal components, rebar and plastic piping aren't enhancing the natural environment. In Balclutha, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, New Zealand's National Marching Championships are held in Dunedin, and thousands get active in this year's Surf to City event in Invercargill, so catch this and more after the break. Welcome back. Dunedin is hosting the Marching New Zealand National Championships for the first time in 6 years. This annual event is set to showcase about 50 teams from all over the country, performing in crisp uniforms or putting their best feet forward.
Receiving their marching orders. Dunedin is hosting the Marching New Zealand National Championships for the first time since 2014. Teams have travelled around the country for the event, including this team from the Hawke's Bay, who say they're here to compete.
We focus on the performance. We have lots of performance goals, so we focus completely on the performance rather than on the outcome. And lots of tools, we use lots and lots of tools to improve that performance.
Buckingham Guards coordinator Stacey Syme says teams practice all through the year back up in the Hawke's Bay. Team member Ella Curtis has been part of the Buckingham Guards for many years and says it's something she was drawn to and now loves.
Well, I went to the RSA one night with my family and I watched a performance done by Buckingham Guards, and then I just came along and tried it out and enjoyed it.
Teams competing in Dunedin this week are set to be judged on a traditional marching program as well as modern routines. Ella Curtis says people should get into marching if they like what they see and are interested.
Do it. Just do it. Because it's really fun and you make lots of great friends and you get to travel all over New Zealand.
Stacey Syme has been part of a Nationals winning team and says at the end of the day, marching is all about fun, and she wishes the other teams taking part the very best of luck.
Have fun, don't forget that it is about the performance and working hard, but it's also about having fun. And one of our goals for this Nationals is, one of my goals for the girls is for them to come away from Nationals and had a really good time.
Marching Otago say they're looking forward to the buzz which the event brings to the host city. Competitions are being held at the Edgar Centre on March 19th and 20th. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin's St Hildas School is celebrating its 125th anniversary this week. Event organisers say there are a lot of activities planned, with pupils dressing in period costume from when the school began to the present day.
Not your typical mufti day. St Hilda's School pupils took the opportunity to dress in period costume in their stride, all finding outfits from different sources and decades.
I actually got it from Toitu, so one of my mum's friends works there and she let me borrow it. I had this costume, I got it from my mother, so I thought, why not? From 1983, so the jazz exercise outfit, I presume. That's a bit of me, yeah.
The dress-up day is part of the school's 125th anniversary celebrations, which are being put together by former pupil Amanda Burke, who says many events have been planned for the week.
We started planning about 18 months ago, so it's been a long process. We've done a few things that have taken quite a bit of time. We've had a St Hilda's Rose developed, which has been for sale for this event, so that's something that took a couple of years in the planning.
The young women are enjoying playing dress-up at school, with each of them finding a different meaning for the day. Georgia Copeman dressed as a woman she finds inspirational, Kate Shepherd.
For me, Kate's a really inspirational woman. I've done a lot of projects on her. I think she's just a great woman of her time and a thoughtful woman's right, so I'm really happy to be dressing up as one of my favourite people.
And I think it's great that the school's willing to do lots of fun things. There's not really a dress code, everyone can kind of do whatever they want for these kind of days, so I think that's really important.
I think it's kind of good to go back into the times and think about when St Hilda's was around and how people might have experienced St Hilda's back when we were, in the decades that we're dressed in. So I feel like it's quite a privilege to be able to think about it in that way.
Amanda Burke says a number of former pupils and staff are returning for events, including a former politician and a professor of fashion.
On this coming Saturday night, we've got a panel discussion with some of our alumni. We've got Catherine Rich, Margot Barton, Catherine Fitzgerald, Lucy Strack, Carrie Hobson, Bridget Jackson, and Sarah Perriam. They're all alumni of St Hilda's who are involved in that event.
Burke says many women have registered to attend events celebrating the school's 125th anniversary. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Children and their teddy bears got to enjoy a day out in Invercargill's Queen's Park. The event has been held for about 40 years and only rained out once.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Dozens of children and their families attended the Tucketts teddy bear picnic at Invercargill's Queen's Park. Invercargill Plunket Community Support Coordinator Judy Cook says the event is always a popular day out.
I think it's lovely to have an event that families can come along and just simply enjoy some time together. And that's the idea of it, is that families bring their picnic, lunch along, and they can just sit and enjoy that time together.
The picnic is designed to be a logical follow-on from the popular Surf to City event, which also finishes up at Queen's Park.
People are just finishing the Surf to City, and then they can come along to this event. And it just keeps people in the park, which is a lovely venue for something like this.
The annual event's been running for about 40 years, and last year was the first time the day had to be cancelled due to bad weather, leading to contingency plans being set up for this year.
This year we had a wet weather alternative venue, just in case. But yeah, we don't need it today.
In Invercargill, the South Today.
The sun was out for this year's Surf to City Day in Invercargill, with thousands choosing to cycle, run or walk a variety of different courses. The annual event is held to encourage people to adopt a more active lifestyle.
About 3,000 Southlanders took part in this year's Surf to City, ending up in Invercargill's Queen's Park. Sports Southland Chief Executive Brendan McDermott says the family-friendly event is to encourage people to get out more often for their health and well-being.
Now, from a Sports Southland perspective, we're about everyone active every day, and we just want people to be active. It doesn't matter how you're doing that, whether you're walking, running, biking, scooting. People getting out and enjoying nature, enjoying the fresh air and being active is really, really important, however they wish to do so.
Entrants can choose to run, cycle or walk 3 different distances, ranging from 3 to 12 kilometres. Jabel Bacaro from Edendale says she and her family enjoyed cycling the route, although she hadn't been sure if she could finish the 12-kilometre course.
It was good, actually it was good. It was nice seeing a lot of people biking together, especially with kids. It's just motivated me to bike more because I'm not really sure if I could finish the 12 kilometers when I see kids. Yes, I can do it.
McDermott says given the current climate around the globe with COVID-19, it's been a privilege for the Southland community to be able to hold the event. And he hopes upon seeing other people also being active will motivate people to achieve greater fitness.
It shows families the importance of being active, doing stuff together, the community connecting and just enjoying what we've got to offer here in Southland.
The event was sponsored by the local city council. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek. Crowds enjoy a fun day on the beach in Oamaru, and a Wanaka man designs a wetsuit for lake swimming, so see you after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Families turned up in droves to enjoy the last day of the summer sunshine at Oamaru's Friendly Bay. The Family Fun Day event was relaunched 5 years ago by the local Mayor Gary Kircher, who remembers it from his childhood.
Both parents and children brought their togs, buckets and spades for the beach-themed activities at the annual Family Fun Day held at Friendly Bay in Oamaru. Local Mayor Gary Kircher says he's pleased to see thousands turn up for the event, which he relaunched in 2016.
We've pretty much done the beach dig, they're on to sandcastle building, they're on the bouncy castles, getting their faces painted, there's all sorts of things going on.
The family-friendly day includes bouncy castles, kayaking and sandcastle building, all put on for free.
Something for everyone. People can come here and do a whole lot of different activities, things that they might not be able to do otherwise, like on kayaking or going on the Noddy train lots of times or whatever. So they can just do whatever they want of the activities and as many times as they want to, and it doesn't cost them anything.
The beach party is actually a reincarnation of a similar event held at Friendly Bay between the 1950s until it petered out in 1979. And Kershaw is pleased to have revitalised what he and others of his age recall fondly from their childhood. He says the event is funded by the local council, but also relies on the goodwill of volunteers.
From the council perspective, we put a bit of money into it. We now have a sponsor that helps with the costs, and we have community organisations who are giving their time, and all the musicians and so on who, they just getting a token payment. They're not charging their normal fees, but we've got a great lineup of entertainment in the background as well.
In Oamaru, the South Today.
Dunedin's Fringe Festival is set to entertain art lovers over the next week and a half. Along with numerous live acts and exhibitions, organisers have this year added an online component, just in case COVID-19 restrictions kick in.
The Dunedin Community Gallery, next to the Octagon, has been taken over for the next week and a half as a live performance venue and licensed bar for all manner of fringe acts, including Dunedin funk group The Beat Skips, seen here during their sound check. Festival director Gareth McMillan says there'll be over 100 acts in various venues, all of which are worth seeing.
For me, I think a good fringe festival as a whole experience, you should see some art which just absolutely blows your mind. You should see something that really challenges you and provokes you. And you should also see something that's a bit rubbish, because that's part of a Fringe Festival as well.
Over the next 10 days, the Fringe Festival will showcase an eclectic range of artistic acts, with many hoping this will help springboard their creative careers.
People get involved in Fringe Festivals for various reasons, and part of the reason we exist is to help provide some scaffolding in order to enable people to succeed in the industry. So those are the people who perhaps might look at developing a work and then take it to another festival or another season afterwards, or to tour it or something like that, which is great. But then we still do have a lot of people that just want to participate just for the joy of making something beautiful and a bit crazy.
Last year's festival had to be cancelled due to COVID-19, but McMillan says they're prepared this year with an online portal, just in case the situation changes and live events are not allowed to go ahead.
Yeah, that's very much part of the contingency. It's also a lovely way of including some of the international artists who aren't able to be here in person. And it's really exciting. So, some nights you feel like going out and getting your glad rags on and your dancing shoes and coming out to see some fringe shows, but other nights you might just want to sit at home and go, you know what, I've seen everything on Netflix, so what's on the Fringe?
In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Wanaka-based designer is now releasing his second prototype of something he believes no one else in the world is making. It's a wetsuit purpose-designed for swimming in freshwater lakes.
Swimmers in the annual Ruby Swim in Lake Wanaka can now use wetsuits designed by one of the event's organisers, Eddie Spearing. His specialised wetsuit aims to assist swimmers by giving extra buoyancy in the water.
So the idea is to get a person level in the water rather than a sinker. So trying to bring you up level, you need more buoyancy in certain positions of the body to get you level in the water.
Trained as a mechanical design engineer and a keen lake swimmer himself, Spearing wanted to create a wetsuit that would keep swimmers warm in the cold lake water and also make them visible to boat and jet ski users on the lake. While developing his design, he went online to look for ideas from other manufacturers and was surprised to discover no one else was making wetsuits purpose-built for freshwater swimming.
So I did a lot of research looking at what existing manufacturers made a wetsuit for freshwater swimming, and I thought there has to be one, and there wasn't one. There isn't one. Everywhere I looked, there wasn't one. So I thought, well, I'm just going to carry on and go the next stage.
He had his original prototype wetsuits made in China, but has now switched factories to Thailand, largely for ethical reasons.
Even though China can do anything that it wants, it makes brilliant wetsuits, I do have an issue with other factors that happen in China. It would be wrong for me to say I don't really agree with how the Chinese government operate, but it's okay, they make real cheap product, I'll carry on, thanks very much.
The suits receive positive reviews across the world and retail for about $750. In Wanaka, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from across the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a lovely weekend. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.